All right, in this exercise we're going to do something very similar to the last one. However, instead of creating a room, you're just going to create a series of geometric shapes and objects. They can be anything you want. But the rule for this drawing is that everything's in two-point perspective. So it's almost like we're on the outside of a box looking at the corner, as opposed to the last assignment where we were literally inside the box, which was the room. So to get started, what I'd like you to do is on your paper, draw a horizon line. You can put it in the middle of the paper like this. You can put it slightly to the top, slightly to the bottom, but don't go too high or too low. This is going to be the horizon for your vanishing points, and then I want you to arbitrarily just pick 2 points and mark them on your paper. Put them towards the edge of the paper. You can go right to the edge if you want, but we need everything that's happening in the drawing happens between these 2 points. Now you can go about it any way you want and design it any way you want. I'm just going to show you one way to approach it and how to start, but just take this information and make it yours and have fun with it. So one way to start would be to establish the corner of such a box-like structure that's closest to us. And that's done by literally putting in a vertical line. And you can put the line in anywhere you want, any size you want. The whole thing can be below the horizon, it could be above the horizon, or in this case, it can straddle the horizon. So the top part's above and the bottom part's below. So that's the corner. Then the 2 sides, each will go to its own vanishing point, as indicated by these red lines. Okay, so on the right side, it's going more quickly down to the vanishing point because the line is closer to the point, and on the right side. On the left side, it's going down a little more gradually because the point is further away. And then you can arbitrarily, meaning wherever you want, establish 2 more verticals which will represent the back of those 2 sides. All right, so this gives us a basic box structure that we could then build on. So you're going to do the lines light. You're going to be using a ruler. But when you're happy with your lines, I want you to darken them in, just go over them, be a little heavier. And this whole thing is to be done in pencil. You also have the option to do shading in this assignment if you want. But again, it's entirely up to you. But I would wait till the very end before you decide which lines you're going to lighten and darken. All right, then I can create another box. Here in the lower left, I'm going to put the whole thing below the horizon, and I do the exact same thing. I establish the 2 sides, and then I arbitrarily stick 2 verticals that will represent the back end of those 2 sides. So this can be a freestanding structure, something by itself over here, or if you want, you can connect it by taking the line that's right here and moving it back to the object. Now if I stop anywhere along here, it's going to look like it's sticking out of the side. If I stop right here, it's going to look like it's on the bottom. It's connected to the bottom, almost like a hallway for a giant building. So I'm going to move the line back. I'm going to put it there, which means there's a gap between the bottom of this and the bottom of the building. So this protrusion from the building is raised. It's coming out, and you'll see what I mean. So I darken the sides. And so you see there's a gap there. This is the front of this box. You also, when you do these things, you want to take out some of the lines so that you can clearly see what it is you're doing. So there you see the side. And then the back of the box, where it touches this bigger box, this line is going to be parallel to which lines we've already drawn. This one, and these 2. So this line from this corner is going to go back to that point. So again, like your other drawing, there's only 3 types of lines. There's vertical, but instead of horizontal, we have 2 types of diagonals, one that go to one vanishing point and one that go to another vanishing point. And then I can start to make some decisions as to which lines I want to keep. I go again from this corner back. It's parallel to this line, so it has to go to this point. So that gives me the thickness of the top of the box, which is matching the bottom of the box. And again, I darken, and then I remove lines that I don't want to have in my picture. Okay, so now you can see I've got this larger box with a kind of horizontal protrusion coming out the side, also in 2-point perspective. And now I'm going to start to put a window up here. And so what I do first is I just establish a vertical line. So I'm going to do the right side of the window. I could have just as easily done the left side of the window. It doesn't matter. Once you put that vertical in, we now have the top of the window going down, and the bottom of the window is also going to the same point. And because it's above our eye level, you'll see that the line has to go down. All right, so we establish those two. And make sure you use a ruler with this. Create a back edge for that window. How far do you want it to go over? I could stop it anywhere I want. I'll put it right there. I'll fill that in. Now this can be like a glass window, something different on the surface, or I could turn it into a cutout, meaning I'm looking into it. And if I was to do that, I would see the wall over here, and I would also see the ceiling underneath here, which means I'm going to need a line that separates the two. And that line might be a little tricky to figure out where does it go, but if you take it from a logical point of view, if that line is the back end of the box, it's got to be parallel to these two. So it's going to go to this point right here. Okay, and again, we'll darken that. All right, so now I have a protrusion that goes in. Now, what if I didn't want to go all the way in? What if I want to just go in a little bit, establish kind of a thickness to my wall here, and have an open space? Well, again, I would put a line where I want to stop, and then this corner, this line here is the ceiling. We're looking up, and this might be an opening. So I'm going to need a line right here, and it's going to be parallel to these two lines, which means it has to go over here. So I'll put that in, and then I'll put that in. Okay, so you can see there's a thickness to my box, thickness to this top part of the box. There's an open space, or I could consider that a flat back wall. It depends on what I do with it and how I want to treat it. If I keep it as an open space, I could imagine there's something else projecting up behind it, and then that object is probably, if I want to put a side on this side, it'll go to that point. If I want to put a side on this side, it'll go down to that point. So I'm going to leave it there. They're just some of the basic techniques for two-point perspective construction, because I want you to just make things up. You could put another vertical here going up and then go down, so you have like a column standing up here. You can put a hole in the side here. You can put legs on this. You could put another window over here. You could imagine the back line by making this line come across. So there's all sorts of endless opportunities you have to play with this. Here's a few more shapes, unconnected, kind of floating, but you can see some are below the horizon line, so we see the top, some are above, we see the bottom, and some are on both above and below our horizon, our view level. And so this really is the basis, as we've seen in the previous lecture, of a lot of architectural drawings. Okay, so this building, you can see, as complicated as it is really just a giant box in two-point perspective, and all of these lines on this side are going to a point over here, and all the lines on this side are going to a point over here. So here's some diagrams of possibilities that you can play with. Again, you can see the 2 points on the side. You can see all the weird shapes, and then this person has decided to shade one side of it. Okay, so have fun with it. The paper I used was horizontal orientation, but you can see here they've used a vertical orientation with the 2 points right on the edge of the paper. It's entirely up to you how you want to play with this. Here's another drawing. This person has curves in it. Curves are a little tricky unless you're feeling super confident. I wouldn't put them in. And you can also see that they played with perspective, things that don't make sense. So this side coming up here and turning down, if this is the side of the wall, then this doesn't make much sense to be this way. So this is more like M.C. Escher. If you know Escher's work, it's logical inconsistencies in the way that he's portraying things. But that's okay. I don't want you to be too logically inconsistent, because I want to understand, or I want to know that you understand how to do this, and it's pretty clear that this person does. This is from the internet, by the way. This is not, neither of those last two images are student images. Okay, so have fun with the assignment. If you have any questions, always just shoot me an email.